Right over yonder, behind the large group of people, is Alex Bowman celebrating his second career victory, his first of the season. Hendrick Motorsports looks like they are back, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. Let me take my seatbelt off. I'm not driving. No, I am parked here for the next, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, however long it's gonna take me to talk about today's race, because it was fun. I'm sitting in the parking lot still at Auto Club Speedway. I figured this would be a great time to film my episode. Because traffic, you know, let that kind of filter out, let people leave, let people do their thing. I got someone grilling burgers out of their pickup truck right over here. My hair is a mess. My face is probably red and windburned at this point, because not a lot of sunlight today. It was definitely on the verge of disaster as far as rain is concerned. But overall, we got the race in. Weather was decent. Racing was fun. Ended kind of slowly, you know. Bowman, really cool to see him get his first win of the season, only his second win of his career. Nice to see Hendrick Motorsports for the second week in a row run really well. Hendrick is back, guys. Jimmy Johnson ran top 5 all day in his last race, presumably in his hometown track, I guess. Ended up finishing 7th. We'll talk about all the finishing results. That's probably a good place to start. A lot of great things today, a lot of fun stuff, good crowd on hand. I'm just speaking in a lot of generalities here. Let's talk a little bit about what actually happened in today's race. Auto Club, the Auto Club 400, third race of the season. Let's look at the top finishers. Alex Bowman, I talked about him. He gets the win, huge for him, because that's a driver who I think everyone expects to make the playoffs, probably would make the playoffs, but a win could be very important for him. He's not the kind of guy that I think we assume is just gonna lock his way in on points, guaranteed. Probably was, but it's not a guarantee with Alex Bowman or Hendrick Motorsports. But so getting a win early on here, locking himself virtually into the playoffs is a big deal for that team. And Bowman, this is a big deal for Alex Bowman because he is in a contract year. We keep talking about this. Sponsorship has been an issue. They still have some of their races. You know, they got a bunch of Chevy partners banded together to fund a whole bunch of their season, and I don't know how much money Hendrick's really getting from that deal. He's really having to rely on his Chevrolet ties to get that money there, to get that sponsorship on the car. So you tend to think sponsorship for Bowman is still not where everyone would want it to be, and it being a contract year. Wins like this go a long way, and he almost won at Las Vegas last week too. Before that last caution, it was going to come down to him versus Blaney, and Bowman had a lot of momentum on his side. So this is a big deal. Rumors continue to circulate around Hendrick Motorsports what their 2021 driver lineup could or will look like, and Alex Bowman's name consistently comes up as a guy that really, he's got a flame lit under his seat. It's a hot seat he's driving this year. And wins like today, though, will cool that seat off considerably. So I hope this continues to be a trend. I think Alex Bowman, I mean, he showed way back in 2016 when he filled in for Dale Jr. and led laps at Phoenix that he was a real driver. He's a real Cup Series driver. He proved it back then. He's continuing to prove it. 2018, he completely outperformed his equipment. Last year, another solid season, got a win. This year, getting a win this early on in the year, this could be a big year for Alex Bowman. So 88 fans, rejoice. You guys have a real driver, I think, behind that wheel. I'll talk a little bit about Hendrick Motorsports there. You got Chase Elliott, a solid top 5. Jimmy Johnson, 7th, which is actually probably the worst position he was in all day. He finished in the top 5, I think, in both stages, and, you know, ran really well all day long. I really thought this was his day. Qualified 2nd. I thought this was the best shot Jimmy's had in a while at winning. Led some laps here and there. Looked good on restarts, but ultimately finished 7th. But Hendrick Motorsports with a really solid day. William Byron's a little bit further down there. And it didn't really have the speed his teammates had, so that was a little concerning, perhaps. One of the big stories of the day was Joe Gibbs Racing. One of the big stories so far at the beginning of the season is Joe Gibbs Racing. You know, they ran great at Daytona. Denny Hamlin won, so great for Joe Gibbs there. You know, Eric Jones won the Clash, so Joe Gibbs started out with some good old-fashioned dominance. But once we went to the non-super speedway tracks. Last week, Las Vegas, 3 of them got penalized, lost driver owner points. You know, Hamlin, Bell, and Busch all lost driver owner points last week for failing inspection during qualifying before the race. And then this week, Truex had another issue. He didn't even get to qualify yesterday because his team couldn't get that car within the proper parameters. Joe Gibbs Racing was off to a terrible start these last 2 weeks, and even today, all 4 of their cars were running like 15th in stage 1. But then after, I think, like the second pit stop, basically, the second pit stop sequence, the Gibbs cars seemed to figure it out. All of a sudden, they were up there, and late in this race in stage 3, they were on that, I think, the final restart of the day. They had 3 of their cars up in the top 5, battling for the lead at one point. In fact, even Truex took the lead briefly, and I thought, oh no, Truex is gonna run away with this thing. Where did he come from? Truex on his final pit stop, a crew member, apparently, from what I heard, had a cramp. I didn't watch the TV broadcast, but from what I heard, people apparently had a cramp in his arm or in his hand at the worst possible time, and that slowed his whole stop down, cost him any chances of getting a good finish out of this one. But they still had 3 Gibbs cars in the top 10. Christopher Bell lost an engine, not a Joe Gibbs car, but a Toyota and a Joe Gibbs affiliate, so that's not good, not a great sign. But at least the drivers who finished the race, solid. Ultimately, Kyle Busch coming back to finish 2nd. That's pretty good. That's what we expect from Joe Gibbs Racing, but interesting that they started the weekend off so slowly. They figured things out though. Kudos to them, they figured things out. Not a whole lot of notables right there. Ryan Blaney definitely deserved a much better finish. He should be up in that top 5. He should be second on that list, but he had to pit at the end of this thing out of sequence, and I'll be honest, I still don't know what happened. The internet's terrible at the track. I haven't been able to check Twitter. I have no idea why he ended up being forced to pit with 2 or 3 laps to go. Don't bother commenting. By the time I get home and upload and edit this, I'll have had internet, I'll have read all about it, so don't bother commenting. Oh, he cut a tire, oh, loose wheel, oh, overheating. I get it. I know what happened by now, but whatever happened, it was disappointing because he and that sexy purple and gold car were running top 3 all day long. And to see that, basically second week in a row where he did not get the finish he deserved, tough start to this year for Ryan Blaney because he almost won the Daytona 500, missed it by that much, and then the last 2 weeks he's had one of the, if not the best car the last 2 weeks, and has not gotten the finish to show for it. So that's got to be disappointing. Got to kind of take the air out of his sails a little bit, but good things I'm seeing from Ryan Blaney. A lot of the young drivers are impressing to start this year. Bowman with the win this week. Last week, Ryan Blaney and Alex Bowman ran really well. Chase as well. He's run well these first couple weeks. The young guys are impressing me this year, so I'll give him credit. Not a whole lot of other notable finishers up there, though. There's really only one major incident on track today. Early in this race, actually, Denny Hamlin was giving Kyle Larson a huge shove down the front straightaway. Shoved him a little too deep into turn 1, perhaps. Got Larson squirrely, turned him up into the outside wall. Caused a lot of damage. He had to pit under green out of sequence to fix that. Hurt his finish. So tough break for Kyle Larson. I really like that McDonald's paint scheme. Seeing that thing in person, that is nice. I watched the replay. I don't really know what Denny Hamlin was doing there. I can't tell if it was really Hamlin just pushed him too far into the corner, or if maybe he just, his bumper wasn't aligned properly. Maybe Larson did something. Overall, I feel like Larson got screwed there. I don't know I think it was probably mostly Hamlin's fault. It was early in the race. They maybe didn't know how far they could really push it. With this package, the closing rates are still pretty strong on the straightaways, and maybe just misjudged the aggressiveness there on Hamlin's part. So tough for Kyle Larson. I really hated to see that because I thought he was going to have a solid day today. He's always been good historically at the 2-mile racetracks. Was hoping today would be a big day for him. That sucked to have him basically taken out of contention early on. I want to go ahead and talk about the racing as a whole, the racing product. This is the second race now at Auto Club Speedway with the 550 horsepower rules package, and today's race I thought was very good. Auto Club Speedway always has great restarts because the track is extremely wide. They did the really cool 5-wide salute at the beginning where they put Jimmy Johnson out front to honor Jimmy, 7-time champion, 6-time winner at Auto Club Speedway. There's a lot of cool Jimmy Johnson stuff this weekend, kind of honoring Jimmy. The crowd, oh my gosh, Jimmy was the most popular driver in the field this weekend by far. The fans loved him. But sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Anyway, the restarts, of course, were amazing. A wide racetrack coupled with the fact that these cars take a minute to get up to their full speed created a lot of crazy 3, 4, 5. There was, in stage 3, that final restart of the race, we only had, the final like 60, 70 laps ended under green, which is kind of, it was fine. But that last restart that we got in stage 3 there was insane. But they were 4 wide going down the front stretch for the lead. I think it was Truex was up there. I'm pretty sure Bowman was in there. I don't remember who else. Might have been Kyle Busch. Jimmy might have still been up in there. Maybe Blaney. Either way, they were 4 wide at one point going down the front stretch. Not for 15th, for the lead. For the lead. That's crazy. So the restarts were, of course, amazing. I see a lot of people, some of the naysayers of this package, of this rules package, don't like it when people talk about how great the restarts are. At Las Vegas last week, at Auto Club this week, a lot of people on social media, a lot of people watching the race just in general agree, hey, the restarts are really great. And a lot of people that don't like the package are saying, well, okay, sure, the restarts are great, but the rest of the racing sucks. Today was not an example of that at all, and neither was Las Vegas last week. I think the racing the last 2 weeks has been actually really good. Probably the best race last week at Las Vegas that we'd seen at that track with this package. And then this week, I know that we're only comparing it to last year's race, but this race this year I thought was a little bit more entertaining than last year's Auto Club race. So they figured out the package. I think the cooler temperatures helped, and restarts have always been the most exciting part of NASCAR races. It doesn't matter what rules package it is, when you bunch the field up and allow them to make 2 and 3 wide moves in a big pack like that, even if it's just for a couple laps, that's always extremely exciting. There's a reason why, for years, every race I've ever been to since 2005, the crowd always stands up for the restart. When they see the drivers coming out of turn 4 with the pace car peels off, everybody in the crowd pretty much stands. And they stay standing for about 4 or 5 laps as they watch crazy action on the track, and then once things get a little strung out, settle down. Again, this is every rules package that's ever existed in NASCAR. People start to sit down and they just relax and they take it in, they get in a rhythm. Basically exactly what the drivers do. So I like how people are acting like this rules package invented exciting restarts. Like, no, the restarts have always been exciting, especially at Auto Club. The restarts have always been extremely exciting, and I thought this package honestly lived up, or continued to be strong even through long runs. you could still see plenty of passing. There's a good amount of tire fall off, not a lot, but a good amount of tire fall off. So that allowed for some interesting pit strategy calls, especially there's a couple cycles of green flag stops throughout today's race, and you saw some guys short pit a little bit, some guys split the stage up in different lengths, try to short pit, some long pit. So there was a little bit of interesting tire strategy being played in that case. And yeah, Auto Club Speedway is great because there's like 4 lanes to choose from. I felt like throughout most of the run, as you got later in the run, most guys gradually moved up to the top lane. Most people were running up by the wall late in runs, but that's kind of the type of racing I love at these intermediates, is when you start out, everyone's flat-footed across the bottom, trying to take the shortest route around the track, and then by the end of this run, everyone's just trying to hang on to it, run the wall, keep that momentum. It was great. I like to see how the cars and the handling in different cars would change throughout a run. The second to last run of this race, Alex Bowman, he jumped out to a huge lead, but I think they said they reported, I don't know if they said on the Fox broadcast, but I saw someone was reporting it, that they found that his tires were kind of cording, the wear was a little stronger than they'd like. So late in that run, he was actually backing up, and I think it was Blaney, I think it was Jimmy Johnson, maybe Truex as well, were starting to catch him before that last cycle of green flag stops, and after that, Bowman was gone. They fixed whatever long run issue they had the run before on that last run. So Bowman was gone by the end of this thing. But there was some good tire fall off. There was a lot of changes throughout a run, comers and goers. A lot of passing. Passing was not an issue today. Everyone could pass anyone, anywhere on the racetrack. So I don't want to hear people saying they couldn't pass today, because they could pass. A lot of passing. I thought it was a great race. I thought it was a very solid race. It ended slowly. I mean, Bowman had like a 5-second lead over Blaney when he had his pit road, or when he had his issue and had to pit. I think the final margin of victory was like 9 seconds probably over Kyle Busch. So not an exciting finish, not a nail-biting finish, but the restarts and the strategy that was still being played was interesting. And you had a lot of heartbreak at the end there with Blaney or with Truex on the stop beforehand. You had some good stories with Jimmy Johnson in his final race, getting some great stage points, finishing inside the top 10. The Joe Gibbs cars sucking at the beginning and being really good by the end of this thing. That was a pretty interesting transformation to watch. So overall, I thought this was a decent race. Let's go ahead and slap this thing on the groovy gauge. I'm gonna give the 2020 Auto Club 400, haven't really decided yet. It's still too fresh in my mind here. And I have a different perspective. I'm watching the race in person. You don't see maybe as much as you see on TV, or maybe you see more. Actually, it depends on where you're sitting, I guess, for the race. I was on the infield for the most part, so I didn't see everything, but I got the gist. I'll give this race, I'm torn. I'm feeling good. I'll give it a 70%. I was torn between a 65 and a 70. We'll give it a 70% for this race. I think it could have easily jumped up to an 80% race if, the leader wasn't 10 seconds ahead by the end of this thing. If there was a little bit more, like the Xfinity race yesterday, I think it was Harrison Burton jumped out to a pretty big lead, but as the laps wound down, I think Riley Herbst, I can't remember who was running third. It might have been Daniel Hemrick. I can't remember who was in third yesterday. They started reeling in the leader, and by the end of this thing, I think Burton only won by a few car lengths yesterday. So that was exciting to watch. That kind of felt like it was going to be a blowout victory, but as the laps wound down, things got kind of intense. In this race today, Bowman was pulling away from start to finish. He was constantly increasing his lead. So there was never any doubt in anyone's mind that someone other than Alex Bowman was going to win this race with really for the last 30 laps, barring a caution or something. So that was kind of a dry ending to this thing, but the restarts were great. First couple stages were really interesting, really fun. A lot of passing, a lot of good stories. So I'll give it a solid 70%. It was just a solid intermediate race, a solid 2-mile oval race. Not one anyone's going to really remember or talk about years from now, but solid race. I think most fans left this place happy. I didn't hear anyone complaining leaving the track today. Everyone seemed to be in a really good mood. Most people were excited to see a Hendrick car win and excited to see Alex Bowman really start to emerge as a true contender, because he's a title contender this year, guys. Don't make any mistake about it. I could probably talk a little bit more about this race, but I gotta get home. I got a lot of videos to edit, including this one from this racetrack. So thank you all a ton for watching. Thank you to everyone who came up and said hi to me at the racetrack today, because this was crazy. You're not gonna notice it in my video I filmed this weekend, probably not, but I probably had like 50 or 60 of you guys approach me just today and say hi, talk about the race, talk about the track. Some of y'all got pictures. It was crazy. I did not expect that many people to come up and say hi to me. I know I'm tall, and if you guys saw me at the track, you know I'm really tall. If you saw me on TV, apparently I had a cameo during Michael Waltrip's grid walk. You'll see a behind the scenes of the grid walk in my video I post here in a couple days. Apparently, you guys know I'm really, really tall, so I stand out in the crowd. I wore a big yellow hat today, so everyone hopefully could see me from a mile away. But I did not expect to see that many people who watch the show, who support the channel, who know who I am. That was absolutely unreal, absolutely insane. Really made me feel kind of like a celebrity for a day, which I was different. I have never felt that before. So really thank you guys a ton. If you came up and said hi, took photos, a couple of y'all even asked for autographs. That's great. I signed an autograph next to Eric Jones. I was like, hopefully you don't get those mixed up. I'm the one with 2 E's. He's got the J in it, but that was crazy. So thank you all a ton for supporting the show and for coming out and saying hi to me. I didn't organize any sort of meetup this weekend. It was all spur of the moment, just happenstance. It was absolutely unreal. So thank you guys a ton. Really meant a lot to me. But that's all I've got today. Subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters. It's thanks to these amazing people over here that I'm able to come to the racetrack like this as frequently as I've been able to and film stuff at the track. I think you guys are really gonna like the couple videos I have planned this week. Tried something a little bit different with one of my videos. And some of you guys who saw me at the track probably saw me working on this video. Definitely a little bit different. Definitely kind of familiar at the same time. But got a lot of exciting stuff to post this week. And I'll be at Phoenix next weekend. And that's largely due to the support I get from you all on Patreon. So thank you all a ton. Really helping this show and this channel grow into something really incredible. So I really appreciate it. I'll be back very soon. I got more Out of the Grooves planned this week. Obviously videos from Auto Club planned for this week. And I'll be at Phoenix next weekend for Saturday and Sunday. So I look forward to seeing some of you guys there as well. West Coast Swing is almost complete. Thank you all a ton for watching. I'll see you again very, very soon. Time for a long drive home, guys.